What's up, you guys? We're back. Welcome, welcome back to the 97 Demo Podcast. As I guess we begin our season 2 or chapter 2 of the podcast.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other in weeks.
Months, literally months, perhaps. It's been a minute.
Feels like it's been years with you guys. Good to see you guys.
But I'm NABJ, one of your 3 hosts, joined by
Noah. What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
And Avery.
Yep.
And we got to do something really cool to kind of kick off our season 2, chapter 2, edition 2, album 2, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Last year, those of you who have watched us for a while know we did our end of 2020 series where we went through each genre. For our eagled eyes fans out there, our committed fans out there, you'll know that one of our favorite albums of last year was Live Forever by Bartees Strange. And basically we slid into the DMs on Twitter and got an interview.
Yeah. For people that do follow us on Twitter, he responded to our end of the year playlist. You know, we do a playlist for, the best, each genre we doing for alternative rock. And he was like, yo, this is so dope. Then I'm on playlists and stuff like that. So we took our shot and we made it. We drained it. He responded back. And we were able to, we asked for an interview and he gladly accepted, which is pretty awesome. So
he was so cool. He was so nice.
He was so cool. That was that's the best part of the interview. It's he's had a really good 2020. 2020 was pretty sucky for most of us. Yeah, but Bartees Strange killed his 2020 because he put out an album that people loved. A lot of people love Live Forever. So, reaching out to him as just 3 dudes who like to talk about music and having him be so just cool and chill and warm and just positive. It was a great interview. It was a great interview.
Yeah, we learned a lot about him. We actually the 3 of us had something in common with him, relating to his background, which we'll hear in the interview, which was very surprising to me. But
I just realized what you were referring to. And let me just say this. One thing I learned from Bartees Strange, never too late to pursue whatever your passion is, what you want to do. Exactly. No matter how far you may be in one thing, you can always do you and do it with confidence and see success. Yeah. I'm not going to spoil too much from the interview.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil too much.
But I am curious, for the 2 of you, right, without spoiling, what were some of this, just from talking to Bartees, some of the highlights, some of this, what are the lasting impressions you maybe have?
For me, I would say, and that's the thing with artists, sometimes we kind of think about these people that are larger than life, even if though they're not the biggest artists in the world or whatnot, but we kind of think they're larger than life, not normal people, they don't have a normal life, but it's kind of crazy. He's just like us. And, I know that's a really cliche thing to say, but a lot of the experiences, a lot of things he likes and he enjoys, we've gone through too also. So, yeah, man, I mean, it was just great talking to a guy that was just really chill and really honest. I feel like, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I feel like he was being really honest with us and telling us how he felt. And we had really a nuanced conversation. It wasn't really straightforward, album that done. It was really nuanced and it was good. And I hope people enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was getting to talk to him about Oklahoma and talking about his experiences growing up there and going to OU and all that. I thought that was so cool. So
yeah, so.
And I agree with both of those things. And honestly, at this point, I don't even want to spoil anything. Without further ado, here is our interview with Bartees Strange.
Enjoy.
Yeah, and we run a music podcast and loved your album. So honestly, we're kind of freaking out a little that you agreed to the interview, but we're super excited about it.
Oh, I was look at all these brown people. Fuck yeah.
Love that.
I was like, oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we were pretty freaked out when you responded to our to our little playlist we do of we did the top 5 projects for different genres, and obviously Live Forever was on it. And it's so crazy that you responded. We were kind of freaking out. Then we were like, what's happening?
That's crazy. No, I appreciate that. Y'all have good taste. I was like, yeah, this is a good list.
Thank you.
This is good. This is quality stuff. So definitely.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but honestly, I guess we'll get started, and I think we all really want to start there. Like I said, last year we had a discussion about our favorite alternative rock albums, and of course, Live Forever made that list for us. And we're definitely not alone. The album itself has been really warmly received and honestly has gotten a lot of acclaim. Like, how's it been releasing your, debut studio album, and getting all of this praise for it? What's the response been like?
I'm, really grateful. I didn't expect it at all, it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it, but I'm also just trying to, stay focused, keep making stuff. It's allowed me to work with like way more musicians, which is something I've always wanted to do. So just, trying to take it in stride and just keep making things.
Absolutely. Who are some of those musicians, actually? I'm just curious that you've been able to work with now.
Oh, I can't really it's nothing wild. It's just like, there are some records coming out in the next year that I got to produce that I think are going to be fun, like some pretty cool records. And, like up until really October, I was working a full-time job and like producing and working on stuff in my basement as much as I could, and now, I have like, some production clients booked through the year. So I'm like just doing this full time, it's like, so it's been a really like life changing like season. So I don't know, I'm still trying to get my head around it, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting you say you're talking about how like you're doing the full time producing thing, because I think that's one of the things that we marveled at about your about the album was the sounds and the different how sonically the album sound. And we kind of leading up to this, we kind of want to do our research and kind of listen to all the other projects you released. Obviously, you had the EP for the Nationals cover, for full of covers, and then you had a project, I think 2018 Magic Boy is
Mhm.
is what you released under a different name. And kind of listen to those projects, they kind of sounded like there was all one cohesive sound throughout the project, like although there were different songs, so it's like a cohesive sound throughout all the projects. And with Live Forever, you go from song to song and there's like different sounds, like when you go from I don't want to, we've been talking about this, is it Flagy God or Flage God? Flage
Yeah.
God. Okay,
Yeah.
Flage God from Moss Blurred. There's a really big difference in sounds, but we love it. Kind of how what gave you the confidence to kind of for Live Forever specifically to kind of, I guess, experiment and put all these sounds on one project? Because sometimes when it's done wrong, it come out as messy, but with you, it came out really, really great. So, what kind of led you up to this point with that project?
I don't know, it's a good question. I like you said, like most of the other projects I did were pretty like cohesive. But I think I was just trying to do what everyone thought was the right thing to do. Like, I was like, yeah, like every band I'd ever been in, every time I'd played in a band, we were like all in agreement on like a sound. Um, Over the years, like I just played in a lot of different types of sounds. Like I grew up playing in like a lot of country bands and like hardcore bands and church music, black church music. My mom's a singer. In college, I played in a lot of punk bands. In Brooklyn, I played in like funk and punk and hardcore and rap and made beats. And, so I just kind of was always doing all of it. Um, and I just kind of like, I just kind of over the years became more confident with every project. Every time I'd be in a band, and we'd release a record, I'd be like, yeah, like I want to do this again. Like every time I did something, I wanted to do it again. And then I kind of hit the point where I was like, like I think I want to do something that does everything. Like I feel like I can like make a case for this, and I just kind of tried it. It was a big experiment, like I just made it with my friends, like it wasn't like a big record label studio, big nothing like that. It was like me and my homies, we just went up to a barn at my boy's house and just cut the record in 10 days. It was just stuff we liked, and it was really like life affirming shit when we put it out and people were, like responded well to it. So I was like, I had no evidence that this would ever catch on. Like it was just like, I think this is great. And so I was like, damn, I want to feel like that about more things I do in my life. It's cool.
It sounds like from each place you've gone or like people you've met, whether it be like a physical location, because I read that your father was in the military and that had you guys moving around a lot.
Yeah.
Or like people you've met and bands you've been in, like have kind of, you've gathered things from all those and that kind of all led up to Live Forever. What were like some of the major influences throughout those stops that influenced these like different sounds?
I mean, I grew up, most of my life was in Oklahoma. And I felt very alone in Oklahoma. Like I didn't have a like group of like an artist community or anything like that until I got a little older. When I was in college, I started playing in more bands, and I think it was probably around then that things just kind of started to stick. Like I listened to a lot of church music and stuff up until I was in high school because my parents are like super Christian, and so like I didn't have like couldn't listen to the radio much. But when my friends started driving cars and I started riding with them to shows and stuff, I was like, oh, like this is like the real world, like watching these bands play. And I just, I was really bad at most instruments. I couldn't play guitar or anything. I kind of sucked at everything. Um, I picked up a guitar in like senior year of high school, and it just kind of was like, oh, I can play this. This is great. I want to write rock songs. Like it was just like that was how that's basically all I was doing. And once I hit college and started playing in more bands, I just like fell in love with it. Just started keeping little pieces from every band. And I also was kind of heady about the shit. I was always like, black people made all this stuff anyways. Like, why do I have to do just one of these things? Like, all this shit is mine. Like, and I kind of just had that chip on my shoulder my whole life, and I knew it was true because my parents, like my mom, like she's from North Carolina, my dad's from South Carolina. Musicians all up and down the family, like Chitlin circuit players, church singers, pastors, since forever, and I was like, yo, I mean, like this is like this is my legacy, like making songs, and especially like rock songs and country songs and songs that are like historically black, house music, like dance music, like these things that people try to like put in boxes or categorize, but to us, it's like this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like this is every day. This is everything we've always done. So I wanted to fucking like say that, and I wanted to show it. And so that was like why I made that record. That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Honestly, I love how you just said that. Like at the end of the day, it's all ours. And honestly, I think that's super important because a lot of times with newer black artists, and this honestly maybe not a new phenomenon, but often they're expected to do hip hop R&B. Like that's sort of where you go.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of curious, as you were making your music, like you mentioned, you're inspired by country, church music, you come from a legacy of musicians. Was any part of you nervous that, oh, I'll be forced to be in that box of hip hop R&B? If I don't stick with hip hop R&B, my music won't be received well. Was that something, were those biases something you were conscious of?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like what I fight against with it, and, luckily I'm making music in a time where there are like so many black artists who are doing wild shit, so it's like I'm definitely not the only one, it's like there's a whole world of them. I feel like we've hit like critical mass, and like the industry is like being forced to like acknowledge it, like did y'all listen to that Eve's Tumor record that came out this year? Just like
incredible.
Mind blown. Like I was like, it's like Donald Glover on drugs. Like it's like amazing. It blew my mind. And like Tyler and Namdi and like Christella Beausoleil and Shamir and all the father-daughter people, Citrus City people. It's just we're about to hit a wave, and that it's like it's cool to see it. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, kind of going off that, you know, um, it's kind of interesting because you're talking about all your influences, but I know that from what I've read that you were obviously um I'm pretty sure you were a guitar player for Lizzie No, and you're also in a band. I'm trying to find out the exact name. I had it right here.
Stay inside.
Yes, exactly. Stay inside.
Yeah.
What kind of gave you that confidence? Because obviously, when you're in a band, it sounds like you've been in bands before that. Um, Sometimes it could be, I want to say frightening is the right word, but it takes a lot of confidence to say, you know what, I can do this on my own. What was kind of I guess, I don't know if there was an exact thing or, there was you got inspired by a certain thing, but what gave you that confidence? Like, you know what, I could do this music thing on my own, and when did you feel like that was the right decision? Because, the music you made with them was fine. It was great. It was still good. But what was like, you know what? I feel like I can do this on my own and go solo with this.
Man, I don't know. I'm not sure like what happened. I do remember a few different things though. A buddy of mine, I played in a band called Sea Evil with this guy named Sam Stuckey, and like my current drummer Carter was also in that band. We've been playing together for a long time. But it was like we were at a party, and Sam was just like, "Dude, you need to like quit my band and just start your own band." Like, he was like, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be in my band. You should like be in your own band." And over the years, he like would always like remind me, like, "Yo, this is cool, but you need to do your own thing." And he was like one of the few people who was like, "Yo, you don't be so scared," because he knew I was scared. Because I mean, I think I'm wired to be kind of like like a role player, like that's kind of how I've always grown up. And I grew up in like a really white rural town. So I think like moving around a lot plus that probably made me like a little more deferential. And so, I was always kind of happy to just be the guitar player. But, you know, after a while, I just like with every band, with every song, I just became more confident in like what I could offer. And then like once I kind of had some clarity on like what I actually wanted to say with my music, I was like, I can't do all that stuff in these other projects. And I work a full-time job, so I only have so many hours in a day. So I gotta like make a choice. And that was kind of how it went down. All those bands were great though. Sandside put out a great record this year. Super sick hardcore record. And Lizzie now is always doing cool stuff. Like she's a great singer.
Kind of building off that, we read that your inspiration for the national cover album was that you went to one of their shows and saw that there wasn't a ton of diversity in the crowd. You didn't see a lot of Black folks in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you haven't gotten to perform Live Forever in front of a crowd, I don't think yet. Is that something you're like worried about when you go off and perform your own like rock alt music, or like, is that a concern you have?
I mean, honestly, I'm just so pumped that I'm gonna get to play some big shows. I've never played a big show or like done a cool music thing like that. So at this point, I'm like, I just want there to be people there. Like I want to see what that's like. But real talk, it's like I would love it if my fans were super diverse. Like that would be the greatest. Of course. I'm going to do everything I can to get as many different people into my music as possible. I hope it lends itself to that. But that's like a journey. I'm sure that's something I'll probably deal with my whole life. Playing music is wishing there were more of me in the crowd. That's just kind of what it is.
And honestly, I want to kind of go off of that. I know the pandemic probably ruined any immediate plans of like a tour or performing live, but I do know you have some sort of virtual performance coming up. As this an artist, like like you said, this is going to be your first time really kind of performing this album to an audience. Feeling like what are your feelings about that? Is it excitement? Is it nerves? Is it like like sort of what's going on there?
I'm hyped. I just know it's gonna be dope. It's dope. I know it's great.
What
So I
song
think
are you
people gonna
excited to
like it.
perform the most?
Fuck, Stone Meadows. That song is so sick. It's my favorite song on the record, I think.
Really, your favorite? Well, what makes it your favorite?
It's like I felt like it was really hard to write. It was like a really like I wrote most of the record, and I remember feeling like, oh, I need a song that does this. And I had a moment, I knew what it was, and I remember thinking like, whoa, I'm getting better at songwriting. Like I know when something's missing and I can write it. That's great. Like I've always read about people writing albums like that, like someone being like, yeah, we needed a happy song, so I wrote this great song. And I was like, how do you do that? I can't control what I write, but that was a cool moment in my brief songwriting history, 31 years of being alive. So but yeah, I love that song. And it reminds me of Radiohead, which is like which is top 3 dead or alive.
Top 3.
That's one of the things I marvel at about this album, because that's one of the things I really started as the songwriting and the lyrics. A lot of specific things, they're really descriptive. Like on Mustang, I could really see myself like like what you were saying, I could really see I could visually see it. And one of the songs that obviously that was on our playlist that we really want to discuss was Mossblurred. I mentioned it earlier. You're kind of talking about how you were a black nerd that was mad you didn't get to play at the Beacon and whatnot, and it was really I would say aggressive song. I would say the song is really aggressive about you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you letting all your emotions out and whatnot. I guess what I'm kind of asking is like, what's your writing style? Because sometimes you'll have songs in here that are like really storytelling, really descriptive, and then you have a song like that where it's really emotional. Whether that's like you're sad or you're angry, like Mossblur, where you're like just want to let it all out. I'm just kind of angry at everything that's going on, and the attention that I'm getting. Like, I guess how did you kind of handle your emotions and how you were feeling to like write these songs? Because that's like easier said than done. Always, people can't always put the emotion into the words. So how'd you get that done?
Yeah, I don't know. How do I write? I'm a freestyler. A lot of times I'll write a song and I'll sing and I'll have like a theme that I want to work out. And for the record, that had kind of been the overarching idea. Mossblurred is kind of in a way like the thesis for the album. And so I had that like that idea hovering over the record as I was writing it, and as I was listening to the record and thinking through the music, I just I realized that I didn't have a song that like clearly stated like what the record was, and I feel like that song it carries a lot of weight for how short it is. I think it's 1:45, and like I love Death Grips and I love like Shabazz Palaces and I love like noise music and I love like backwash and so I wanted to do something that was kind of like like I fuck with that and I was like I want to make that sound if I can and that I just kind of ran with those as like my guiding lights for that track but yeah I'm glad you like it. Yeah,
I literally said that. I was like, it really sounds like a really, it's really noisy. That's what the song felt like. And, Death Grips is something that came out, and it's great that you mentioned Shabazz Palaces too, because that's also another one that does that. So
yeah. Definitely they're like masterful like spatial engineers. Like they fill so much frequency up top to bottom, left to right. It's all full. It's really cool stuff. Oh, my dog.
I'm sort of curious. Oh, the dog is so cute. Oh my gosh.
Sweet Bobby.
Bobby. What kind of dog is Bobby?
Dog's cute.
Thank you. She's half, I don't know, she's a mutt, TBH. But I don't know, black lab, border collie mix. Yeah.
Super cute. I'm sort of curious. My friends always make fun of me because I'm always really into the, what songs artists release before an album and like the thinking that goes into this is gonna be first. And they all think like, oh, Nabi Ghetto. Like they all make fun of me, but I always think like there's a ton of like decision making that probably goes into that. For Live Forever in particular, you put out Mustang first. Why was that sort of the right introduction to the album?
Because I thought Mustang was the quickest song. Like it was just like, it's a song, like boom, welcome. It was familiar. Like, people would hear it and I think they would know like, okay, this is like an indie rock banger. Like this is that. It's like easily identifiable and fast and loud and surprise, like it was like element of surprise. That's what we were going for with that one. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was the easiest song to like. Mm-hmm.
I'm from Texas, and so I'm decently familiar with Oklahoma because I have to drive through it quite a bit to get to school. I go to school in Missouri.
Oh, I was about to say, did you go to OU? Because I went.
No. Oh, you did. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Can you see yourself? You said you're in DC now. Can you see yourself returning to Oklahoma? And what was it about Mustang that like inspired?
Life, right? I feel like I'm a little older than you three. I don't know if that's true. I'm guessing. Are any of you? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We're in our early 20s.
Oh, sick! I'm 31. I turned 32 at the end of the week, and like,
happy birthday.
I, my whole life I wanted to leave Oklahoma, and I was so hard on Oklahoma, and I hated it. And then I left Oklahoma and I moved to Brooklyn and DC, and I realized like the only thing that really made me like stand out or was different was because I was from Oklahoma, and like I had like this different like upbringing. Like I wasn't like a coastal, like elite black kid. I was like a state school black kid that lived in a really affluent spot, and like and I worked at like climate change organizations and did like campaign planning for like the labor movement and like stuff like that. That was like I was like a political strategist. That's what I'd been doing the last 10, 11 years. Um, and like I just making Live Forever and like really coming to grips with wanting to do music was really just a journey to like become more comfortable with who I was as a human being, and like being able to accept where I was from, and that it was crucial in making me whatever I am today. And that's why I named the song Mustang, and like Boomer is like Boomer Sooner, like it's like the call for the University of Oklahoma. It's like Stone Meadows was like where I lived in Moore, Oklahoma. It was like my neighborhood. And it's like all of these songs are like Oklahoma adjacent corny shit that I was so ashamed of, but now I'm like very proud that I survived. So it's like a interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. I think about it. I used to think about that a lot. So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, I've been to Norman a couple of times. It's a fun place. Nothing but a
That's
good
pretty
time. at Norman.
fun.
It is
Yeah.
fun. My
Yeah,
my best
cool.
friend goes to OU, so I visited a couple of times.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, it was fun. I had a good time there. I used to live like right by the football field. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is that stadium is huge.
Yeah.
Being next to it is massive.
It's absolutely insane.
Bartees, I have to ask because I think I want to make sure I heard this. You were a political strategist and then went from that as a day job to full-time musician.
Yeah.
How did that? I just want you to walk me through the journey of saying, okay, I'm gonna quit this pretty, traditionally professional job of political strategist and just like go full time into music. Like, was there anxiety and just like nerves and apprehensiveness involved in that decision, or was it just like, I'm done, let's do it?
Horror, dude. My parents are like working class people. Like grew up in the country. I was always ambitious as a kid, but never was super smart. But like never did great in school or anything, but always was like trying to do some shit. Like I could have easily become like an incredible scammer, like if I really was smarter, honestly. But like when I moved, I interned a lot in college because I knew that was going to be the only way to get out of Oklahoma because I didn't have the grades. And I got an internship in DC and like just never went back. I was just like, okay, I'm going to just figure this out. However I got to do it, I'm going to do it. And the path that opened up was like, communications work. I was a press secretary at the FCC during the Obama administration for a little while, doing like net neutrality and SOPA PIPA stuff. But yeah, I was just like kind of following the rabbit hole, and I was really hungry and really thankful to be there and just worked hard, but once I kind of got some things, and it happened really when I was at the FCC, I was just like, damn, I hate my life. This sucks. Like I sold all my music equipment to get there. I really was like forcing myself not to pick up a guitar because I was like, no, like you need to be like the square-toed, like DC black guy. Like you need to like do that, marry this queen, have babies, like be an NABJ, like do the shit, You saw my face. Yeah, I saw your face up when I said NABJ, like what's up. So it's like, this was kind of who I thought I was supposed to be. And all my friends at the time, they were doing that, like one of my closest friends, Wesley Lowery, writes for the Washington Post, an outstanding journalist, John Ketchum, Will Ketchum, like all these people. These are like some of my closest friends over the years. And we all came up together. I was a PR person. They were writers. But I just hated it. And I couldn't come to grips with like not going after music. I'd always told myself I would. And so then, we moved to New York, like, and I just kind of went after it. And that was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And, I was working full time, doing music full time, touring, spending all my vacation, touring, just grinding. And yeah, the trip. But that's how I kind of switched over. I was just like, I gotta figure out a way to do this, and I don't care. Like I hated the money. I remember getting paid and just being like, I fucking hate this. Like I couldn't keep it. I couldn't even save it because it made me feel so disgusting that I was like trading myself for that. It didn't feel good. And I was doing good things, climate movement, labor, whatever. But like, it wasn't me. It didn't feel right. So yeah.
It's so crazy you say that because we were part of NABJ, me and Namdi, before we graduated, we were avid NABJ members at our school, and we actually took a trip to DC one of the years, and we spoke to Michael Lowry. Then I don't remember I don't think you guys were there, but we went to the Post and we spoke to Michael Lowry. So that's awesome
Wes?
that you got to meet him. I don't know if he went to Mizzou, guys. I don't know if he did, Avery. I don't think he did, but yeah, we got to meet him, and I love his work too. So that's like other nerdy journalist stuff, but I like his work though. So
yeah, man, it's wild.
Yeah, that's how I met these two is through NABJ. It's really funny that you bring that up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of my closest friends that I've made through NABJ.
That's awesome.
It's hilarious. Gosh, it never goes away. Every time I meet someone, I'm like, oh, how do you know so and so? And they're like, oh, we went to the conference in 20. I'm like, God damn. Another one. It's all NABJs everywhere. Hi, Benet. I know you're probably gonna listen to this.
Not Benet. Oh my god. But a little earlier you mentioned Beautiful Black Queen. So I want to ask you about Kelly Rowland.
Yeah.
Of how that song come together is one of our personal favorites. And do you know if she knows that you made a song named after her?
I'm 100% sure she has no idea who I am. Why would she? I just always loved her. I just thought she ruled always. I remember like when like Destiny's Child was huge. Our family, our whole family was a Kelly Rowland family. We were rooting for her. And like my mom has always like, I'm not gonna put people's business out there, but Kelly Rowland is the best and we love her. And one of the things in the record that I thought was kind of fun to like kind of play with was like, yeah, like I love indie rock songs and I love like that whole thing, but like one thing I love about like hip hop is like the things you can say. Like you can say ridiculous things. Like you can be like, yo, like I just fucked your bitch in some Gucci flip-flops. And like, I just walked into a booth, came out in a Learjet, just like crazy shit. You don't say that in a Nick Cave song. And so I was like, I want to say that shit, like, because I want that shit too, and I feel like it was like, I wanted a song on the record that was going to be like, yeah, like I want to paint this like reality that it isn't real for me, but it's like something I would love. Like, who wouldn't want to be like this like international fly ass black dude in like really beautiful clothes and great skin and just like killing it, like the most beautiful people in the world. It's a fun thing to like say. And so I wanted to do that. But yeah, and I call it Kelly Rowland because she's the top. She's the top.
it's really interesting about that song because the production of that song almost sounds like it could have been like a R&B song type. Like when I was like, is this dude about to hit some notes? Like, some Destiny Child notes or something like that. But that's one of the things I like about that song because like, or the project is like, there's songs where like the production sounds like you could have done something else with it. But you kind of you did your own style with it, especially Kelly Rowland. That's what I love about that song. And it's really short, but yeah, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, you can't do that song long. I think it would suck if it was 3 minutes long.
And then before we like move on, I just have to ask about my personal favorite song, which I just had playing. I don't know if you could hear it, but Flagey God was like my immediate favorite when I first listened to the album. Like it wasn't even confused. I loved all of them, but like without confusion, I was like that one. Like,
Okay.
and I love the production on it. I love listening to it. And I just want to know, one, how it came together, and two, what does Flagey God mean?
Okay, so I'm so glad you said that because I love that song. And I felt like, I was like, why doesn't everyone love this song? It's like such a fun song. But Flagey God, basically, so the Flagey is a neighborhood in Brussels. That like this is so fucking dumb. I worked at this climate organization and like the Paris Agreement, there was like international negotiations after it. and I was there like for work doing like press stuff. And then after it, a bunch of people were like, you know what, like we're gonna go on vacation. Do you want to come to Brussels? And I was like, yeah, I'm down. And I just had like the best weekend ever. And it was like at a point in my life where I was like really trying to figure out what I wanted in life. So I was like, I hate my job. I don't like the people I'm around. I really love making beats in my basement. Like, how do I like shift, you know? And I went to Brussels and I was partying and just hanging out, and I was like, oh, I forgot like what it was like to be around people who actually got me and like were not always taking from me. Like it was like a really nice like protect your energy, you could be a god kind of vibe. And so I called it Flagey God because I was like, that's where I felt like a god, was in the Flagey. It was great. And so on the production side, I love house beats. Like I love Burial. I love Kraftwerk. I love like Garage. I love Detroit Shuffle. I love Memphis shit. Like I love drum and bass. And I'd always wanted to make more of it. I'm a huge James Blake fan, huge Mount Kimby fan. You know, like I love watching how they move. Huge Aaron Dessner fan, you know, like all the stuff he did with Big Red Machine and like the Taylor record, like low tempo, lo-fi, organic, crunchy beats, you know, simple things that don't move much, you know. I love it. And so I wanted to make something with it. On the national record, I got to do a couple of things like that, which I was pumped to do. And I did some, you know, in Flagey God, but you know, I'm glad you like that song because like a lot of the stuff I'm making now is just really housey. And I'm like, I hope people are into this because I think it's like such a sick vibe. It's like, it's fun, whatever.
That's awesome. You say that. We concur. Brussels is awesome. We've gotten a chance to go. Well, me and NABJ has gotten a chance to go. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
So you brought up earlier how you're a self-professed nerd, and I know I'm speaking for the three of us when I say we're nerds as well. So outside of music, what are you nerdy about?
So my main kink nerd thing is like I love like, okay, which hole do we want to dive into? Recently, I've been really into animals. I've been like watching like every single documentary you can possibly watch that is a nature documentary. I'm like really into it. I love underwater creatures. That's one bucket. The shit that I'm always fucking with is conspiracy theories. I love it. I will like read any conspiracy theory. It's so much fun. I love how crazy people are becoming. It's great. It's bad, but it's kind of fucking great. It's so much fun to read them. I love true crime. And I love like history. I love learning about like random historical figures. I just did like a weird deep dive on Rasputin, who like was a name I just heard all the time. And I was like, who is this guy? And he's fascinating. Like this dude, like no one knows where he came from. He literally walked into a city butt ass naked, smelling horribly, and became damn near the Tsar of Russia and survived being poisoned more than 20 times. This unkillable, wild ass 6'4" Russian dude who like hated baths and told everyone he was a witch. Crazy. That's my shit. I find random things to just like go deep on. That's my whatever.
That's so cool. You brought up conspiracy theories, and you're in DC, and we kind of saw like the conspiracy.
I was like, which conspiracies are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh no, yo, that was like the NABJ National Conference of Conspiracies that happened. It was like it was all of them. Every conspiracy you could have had represented itself in DC.
Absolutely.
A couple weeks ago.
So before we let you go, I'm super curious. You're about to do Seth Late Night with Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What are you going to perform? Are you excited about it?
It's crazy. I'm doing Boomer.
Oh, that's yep.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
my
doing
favorite.
Boomer.
That's one of our favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do it for like that random black kid in Kansas who's like, "Oh, what's that?" Like that's who I'm doing that one for.
Yeah.
Oh, For sure.
I gotta ask about that really quick. I know we can't stay on forever, but for that song in particular, it sounds like for the first 15 seconds, you're almost like rapping for a quick second. And that's what it felt like to be on Boomer. It feels like for the first 10 seconds of that song. And I feel like, within this group, I'm like I'm by default, I'm like the guy who listens to all the weird rap stuff, the really lo-fi stuff. I gotta ask because you mentioned like a bunch of artists like Death Grips and stuff like that. But what are some of the I guess rappers that that kind of influence your style? Because there's these days there's plenty of rappers who are implementing a lot of different versions of other music and alternative. What are some of the rappers that influence you, right now, or whether it was when you were coming up and yeah.
Doom, number one. I was really sad to see him go, man. He was like the patron saint of weird niggas. I love that dude. He was so great. But everything about how everything Doom. King Ghidorah, Victor Vaughn, all of it. Just he built a world, which is crazy. He built a whole universe with his music.
Favorite Doom project?
King Ghidorah.
Gotcha.
Victor Vaughn. Actually, it's Victor Vaughn. That's him at his meanest, absolute most mean, rude. King Ghidorah's got like, it's not enough. It's not enough to dig into. But yeah. After that, Donald Glover. I love him. I think he's great. It's cool that someone like that can exist and be so successful. It's like very inspiring. Tyler the Creator. That fool, I think, is actually for real a genius. Like, I kind of hate it. He's kind of untouchable. You can't. No one can do what he does. Smino, a monster, absolutely monster. Yo, fucking Maxo Cream.
Oh my! It's like we're taking our favorite artists.
You're just every single one.
Just listen them off.
Love Maxo. I think Roaches is like one of the best rap songs of the last 5 years. I was like, the shit is hard to write. It's hard to write something that good. That's excellent. I still listen the first day out, like it just came out, by the way. Like, that what's his name? He's from Detroit. T Grizzly. I listen to that song still all the time. I don't know. Another rapper, I mean Megan, like I think that she's like on like bar for bar, so tough, like completely could obliterate everybody if she wanted to. And I don't know, fucking I like Saweetie. I think she's great.
You have a dream collaboration?
Yeah. It would be Justin Vernon.
That's a good pick. It's a really good pick.
So our last question before we let you go, and this is really going to be the last. Just you kind of killed it in 2020 despite everything. What are some of the goals for 2021?
I don't know. Just keep making stuff. Keep making stuff, and I don't know. Record a lot. I have a lot of songs to record, so I need to record a lot this year. Yeah.
Well, I absolutely look forward to whatever house-inspired projects you have. I'm very excited. Just the mention of that, I'm already kind of like, I can't wait. Let's get it.
I can't wait to do it.
But yo, Bartees, thank you so much for talking to us and giving us now 40 minutes of your time. Like we're all very, very appreciative. This is like the coolest interview we have done by far. And you're just really chill. So we appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yeah, of course. This was great. If you guys ever need anything, just let me know. I'm chilling.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Of course. And, good luck with your podcast and with your lives. I see y'all, young, entrepreneurial, boom, boom, out here, NABJ, I get it. I know what it is. I was you once.
Thank you. Beyond inspiring, man. Beyond inspiring.
Really encouraging. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. A shout out to y'all. For real.
Dope, man. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one, man.
Stay safe.
Right,
bye.
Have
a good one.
Y'all, so that went really well. That went really well.
Yeah, it went great. He was great.
Loved it.
As we said in the beginning, it was a great conversation. Shout out to Bartees Strange for talking to us. Thank you again. We appreciate it. 100%. You are our first, I guess, high profile celeb interview or whatever. And you were really chill about it. So thank you for joining us. For anyone who's new or if you just stuck around to the end, We appreciate you for listening. Be sure to follow us on all of our platforms at the 97 Demo.
We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We have SoundCloud. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. Just put in 97. If you put in the 97 Demo, I've tested this. If you put in 97 Demo on Google, we will pop up. Like
you're gonna find us. So yeah. Any final notes, Avery?
No, that was great. Good job, guys. We killed that.
Listen to the 97 Demo in 2020.
And be sure to tune in next week.
Yep.